Everything was perfect until you disappeared. What on earth is going on? I was being consulted by my colleague, Jason, about work. Jason was an excellent employee and was so elite that he was entrusted with important tasks. Yet, Jason started making mistakes one after another, just as I was demoted due to a mistake at work. Could it be that you were actually doing something behind the scenes? All right, I'll tell you the truth. At that point, I revealed the truth. Upon hearing it, Jason looked utterly astonished. My name is Michael. I work for a startup company. You might imagine that people working at a startup company are elites. Unfortunately, I wasn't very good at my job. I've always been slow to learn, struggling with tasks that others found easy. As a result, I was never the subject of high expectations from either my parents or teachers. Wanting to change this, I studied hard in high school. Being the least capable, I decided to work the hardest. Of course, my grades didn't improve immediately. They were so low it was quicker to count from the bottom of the ranking. Yet, I persisted without despair. Along the way, I was sometimes mocked by my classmates. Just give up. You study hard but never get results. You just don't have the talent. The feedback from those around me was consistently harsh. But effort is something that needs to be continued. By the summer of my second year in high school, my grades had improved up to average. I was overjoyed to the point of tears when I finally saw results. I continued to give effort, and my grades climbed up bit by bit. Before I knew it, I had grown to be among the top 10 in my class. I then somehow managed to get into a prestigious university. I remember how the classmates who used to mock me seemed frustrated when I got into a university with a higher academic standard than theirs. Afterwards, I pursued information studies in university and studied IT. Leveraging that experience, I joined this company. Considering my poor performance as a student in my younger years, this was a significant achievement. However, that's just my personal view. Within this company, I was just an ordinary person. Especially Jason, my colleague, was exceptionally talented, and it would be disrespectful to compare him with me. Tasks that took me about 2 days to complete could be done by Jason in about 3 hours. He was trusted by everyone around, a complete opposite of me. And this applied to the mental aspect as well. I was faint-hearted. Afraid of being scolded by my superiors, I couldn't even express my own thoughts. However, Jason, though having a strong sense of pride, faced any opponent without fear and had the strength to confront difficulties. He was capable at his job and confident in himself. I envied that aspect of him. And yet, as I say this, Jason and I weren't on bad terms. In fact, we got along well both personally and professionally. Indeed, Jason and I were opposites in every way. But conversely, because he had what I lacked, we never fought and could interact with fresh feelings. We often went out for drinks after work and got along well as friends. However, that was a story from a few months ago. Recently, we have grown apart. The reason for this is that the company has seen exponential growth in its performance over the last few years. Recently, having secured contracts with major corporations, the company became extremely busy. While the president was pleased with the company's growth, he anticipated that we would soon be unable to keep up with the workload. Thus, it was decided to establish branch offices to divide the work. However, despite the company's growth, it had not yet reached the point where it could increase its staff. I heard it would still take some time to hire employees for the branch offices. As a result, each employee was burdened with a significant amount of work. As the workload gradually increased, everyone was eager for the branch offices to hire more staff. I was so busy every day that I felt dizzy. But Jason had it even harder. Valued for his excellence, Jason was being assigned more and more important tasks. This business contributed to our decreased interactions. One day, amidst these busy days, something new happened. The company decided to prioritize assigning tasks to capable employees in order to boost performance. These employees would receive salary increases or special bonuses. This strategy motivated everyone to work harder, but eventually, the company became entirely merit-based. A cutthroat atmosphere began to pervade the office. Then, the new boss arrived. His name was Brian, and he joined us mid-career, having been poached from another company. True to his reputation, Brian was exceptionally skilled. He handled tasks efficiently and was more capable than anybody. However, he had a very difficult personality. If a subordinate made even a slight mistake, he would scold them harshly, even in front of others, saying, "What are you messing up? Can't you do something this simple?" As a result, employees became wary and fearful of getting too close to Brian. I also found him difficult to deal with, so I tried to keep my distance. Unfortunately, that just wasn't possible. Because, within this company, I wasn't considered capable. Thus, Brian noticed my performance and targeted me. "You're not getting any work done at all. I'm sorry. You're so useless." Being targeted by Brian, I was scolded almost daily. And because of that, a few months later, I was deemed unnecessary for the company due to my many mistakes and was told, "You make too many errors. We don't need you in this company." As a result, I was demoted and transferred to a branch office. Being judged as useless and demoted was indeed disheartening. But I also thought it was inevitable. In reality, I was less capable than my peers, and in a meritocracy, this was expected. Moreover, looking on the bright side, it could even be seen as a good thing. I had been constantly targeted and harshly scolded by Brian every day. I was freed from that, so in a sense, I was lucky. Now that Brian was not towering over me, I decided to switch gears and do my best at the branch office. I've been assigned here starting today. My name is Michael. Nice to meet you. Upon arriving at the branch office, I greeted the employees. There were many young people, newly assigned only a month ago. Determined not to be outdone by them, I resolved to work desperately hard. But things were a bit unexpected. "Welcome, Michael. Thank you for coming to our branch." Even though we were supposed to be meeting for the first time, I was somehow warmly welcomed. Why are you welcoming me so much?" Not understanding the situation, I asked directly. "You came from the headquarters, right? It's so reassuring to have someone from the headquarters come to help out at the branch," they explained excitedly. I later learned that they thought I was an elite who was sent from the headquarters to assist with the work. Due to a lack of proper communication, they were unaware that I was just a demoted employee who had been sent away. As mentioned, I found out about this misunderstanding later. Therefore, I also made a big mistake in my assumption. I thought I was being relied upon because I came from the headquarters. Throughout my life, I had never been expected to excel by my parents, teachers, or classmates. For the first time, I felt that someone had expectations of me. Naturally, I was more motivated than ever before. "Are you really expecting that much from me?" "Of course." "Then, leave it to me. I'll make this branch even better than the headquarters." I got carried away and made such a declaration, completely overjoyed. But this led to a happy miscalculation. Filled with motivation, I shed my timid personality and started voicing my opinions proactively. "Let's reduce the staff for this task from 5 to 2 and allocate the rest to this other task." "But won't that make it tough?" "No, this task might seem complicated, but it's quite simple. So I think it can be done with fewer people. I see. Let's try that. Besides, the employees here are capable, so I'm sure it will be fine. There were many young and inexperienced employees here. So I proposed various reforms to make work more efficient. I increased the staff for challenging tasks and reduced it for simpler ones. Having too many people could cause confusion, so I aimed to allocate staff appropriately. Despite being clumsy, my experience at the headquarters proved useful here. Work at the branch felt easier compared to before, and I could be more considerate of others, thanks to the tricks I learned from Jason. By implementing these changes, I played a significant role. Efficiency improved, and work was significantly speedier than before. Furthermore, the reduced workload made everyone more vibrant and energetic in their daily tasks. The branch's performance soared, earning praise even from the headquarters. I'm glad you came, Michael. Really, please stay here forever. With the improved performance, I received gratitude from the employees at the branch. I had never achieved such results or been thanked like this in my work life before. I was delighted and found joy in my work. It's all thanks to you guys. I'm the one who should be thankful. My work was going better than ever, and I was even more motivated. But on the other hand, someone was facing difficulties. That person was none other than my former colleague, Jason. After I left, a series of troubles had occurred at the headquarters. Not just one or two, but many problems had arisen. The headquarters was busy dealing with these issues. And the root cause of these troubles was Jason. It was discovered that many tasks handled by Jason contained errors. Mistakes in documents and errors in communication. These errors accumulated and resulted in causing many problems, it seems. Jason had made such significant mistakes, but it was something he had never experienced. Therefore, initially, there were opinions suggesting it might have been some sort of mistake. And Jason himself believed most strongly that he couldn't have made such errors. It has to be some mistake. There's no way I would make such errors, Jason argued. However, in the end, it was conclusively determined to be Jason's mistake. It seemed like the end of the troubles, but no, someone is trying to pin this on me. Even so, Jason refused to admit his mistakes. And he repeatedly claimed that the errors were not his fault. But no matter how much he pleaded his innocence, the fact remained that he had caused trouble. Despite this, he didn't apologize for the inconvenience he had caused to others and refused to acknowledge his mistakes. As a result, Jason lost trust. Moreover, people started saying, Jason is good at his job, but I've always found him hard to deal with. Yeah, I get it. He's always so condescending and just brags all the time. It's annoying. Due to his high pride, his unconscious behavior seemed to have made others uncomfortable, leading to people talking behind his back. Gradually, Jason became isolated and looked at with cold eyes by those around him. This deeply hurt Jason, affecting his work. He started making mistakes he wouldn't normally make, causing further inconvenience. How many times do I have to tell you before you stop making mistakes? You're useless. Targeted by Brian, Jason ended up being scolded almost daily. Before he knew it, he was in a similar rough situation, just like I had been in. That day, I was working like any other day. Then, I received a message on my phone. It was from Jason. Can you make some time to talk? Was all the message said. It wasn't the first time I had received a mail from Jason. But somehow, I sensed that Jason was feeling down. Any time is fine. Then, come to the cafe in front of the station at 1 p.m. Got it? Worried about Jason, I quickly agreed to meet him. When the time came, I went to the cafe where Jason was already sitting. Sorry to keep you waiting. Sorry for calling you out so suddenly. It's fine. So, what's up? When I asked, Jason quietly began to speak, looking down. What did I do wrong? Everything was fine until you were gone. What's happening? The topic was indeed about work. But unexpectedly, Jason was suspicious of me. Ever since you left, I've been official. Tell me, were you doing something behind the scenes? As Jason said, his troubles had begun right after I was demoted. It could seem coincidental, but Jason felt something was wrong. He started to make mistakes he had never made before, and me leaving the headquarters. He suspected some connection between these events. To be frank, he was right. Yes, the mistakes were my fault. There was no point in hiding it any longer. It would only lead to further suspicion. So, I decided to reveal the truth. In fact, Jason had been making mistakes at work all along. But only I knew about that. Jason himself might not even be aware of this. The reason for this is that I had been secretly covering up Jason's mistakes. Once, I happened to notice an error in a document Jason had prepared. But knowing Jason's high pride, I thought he would be upset if someone like me pointed it out. So, I covered up the mistakes without anyone knowing. This was all done to ensure Jason wouldn't get hurt. When I confessed this, Jason was surprised and asked further. Why would you go to such lengths? We're just colleagues at a company, essentially strangers, right? Indeed, I had no obligation to help Jason. And considering his often condescending attitude, it wouldn't have been strange if I disliked him. Yet, I was helping Jason. It's a valid question. True, I might not have any obligation to help you, but remember what you shared during that party. Once I learned about your family, I couldn't just stand by. The reason I helped was because I knew about Jason's family circumstances. Jason came from a single-parent home and had a tough childhood. His mother worked from dawn till dusk, and it seemed incredibly hard. Wanting to ease his mother's burden, Jason worked tirelessly. I knew that Jason's current status was the result of such efforts. I, too, struggled with my studies in the past and had to work harder than anyone else. Despite the difference in our talents, seeing Jason's efforts reminded me of my past self, and I couldn't ignore it. That's why I didn't want to hurt Jason and hoped he would continue to strive. Even if Jason received all the credit, I had no regrets. I believed in Jason's talent and was convinced he could outshine me. What matters is doing your best in what you can do. Even if you're not acknowledged for it, it's enough if you're satisfied with yourself. Yes, that's true. Jason seemed to have taken my words to heart. Thank you, Michael. After our conversation, Jason thanked me. He looked much relieved. Following our talk, Jason took my words seriously and changed his attitude. I'm sorry for the trouble I caused. Jason apologized for his past behavior and acknowledged his mistakes. For those who knew the old Jason, this was an unbelievable sight. What are you apologizing for? An apology won't change your reputation, you know. Despite his apology, it wasn't enough to erase the bad impression entirely. He was still looked at with cold eyes from other employees. But Jason accepted that, too. Shedding his pride, he decided to start afresh, facing himself honestly and determined to rebuild from scratch. Taking criticism as fuel, he began to engage with his work more earnestly. Gradually, as Jason changed, the employees around him began to acknowledge him. Little by little, he was regaining their trust. Jason will surely continue to grow. With his genuine talent, I hoped he would keep striving. Meanwhile, someone else was having a tough time instead of Jason. It was our boss, Brian. Unlike these people, I'm superior, Brian boasted, full of himself because of his perceived excellence. However, despite such arrogance, it seems that one day Brian made a tremendous mistake. Fortunately, there was still a chance to rectify the error, so he immediately sought the employee's help to fix it. "Hey, help me out." "Huh? Hurry up, you useless trash." "Since I'm useless trash, I'd only hold you back if I helped. So please, as the capable boss you are, handle it yourself." Due to his usual behavior, Brian was completely detested. As a result, it seems that none of the employees were willing to help him, and he even received such sarcastic remarks. In the end, Brian failed to correct the mistake. This led to the ruin of an important project with a major corporation. As a result, he was fired for causing the project to fail. This news spread to other companies in the same industry, affecting his chances of finding another job. It was his own doing, so one can only hope he reflects on his actions. As for me, I'm still working at the branch. However, I've been promoted and now have a position where I lead the employees, doing the best I can with what I have. With this philosophy, I continue to face the challenges of work alongside my colleagues today.